Okay, now go. 1, 2, 3, action. Bam! Like the snap.
What do you have on your hand?
Nothing.
What do you have on your hand?
High five.
Bella, did you put glue on your hand?
No, why would I do that? I'm not a child.
What do you have on your hand? Oh.
I'm gonna say this.
Ew. You're gonna get it on the phone.
Why did you just touch my mic thing?
That's a mic.
That's a mic?
It's a connector.
Yeah, I
mic.
bought it for her.
Sorry.
Ah.
Connor, that's gross.
It's gone now.
Where did it go?
I don't know.
Probably on our phone.
Baby. Okay. Welcome to Small Town Dark Truths. I am your host, Alexis, and today is our debrief. Finally, we're finally here, and we're just going to be chilling, kind of talking about the season, and yeah, we're just going to be chilling. It's not scripted. I don't want it to be scripted because I'm tired of writing scripts for a second. But I do have a very special guest. I have the person that got me into true crime, the person who has made me who I am today, and that is my lovely mother, Angel. Here she is.
Oh, hi.
This is her first time on camera, so she's a little bit nervous.
Oh, I lost my mic.
It's not scripted, but I do have an outline of kind of what I want to talk about, so we will be kind of looking down at it, so keep that in mind. But we're pretty much just going to be, kind of talking about the season. I want to go in order of the cases. I also want to talk about what it was like starting a podcast in the first place. So yeah, again, it's just a chill episode though. But let's just talk about the cases. Mom is I don't know what the word is.
Avid.
Mom is an avid watcher. Number one subscriber right here. So she actually knew a lot of the cases before I knew about it. So she definitely knows a lot about some of them. But yeah, first, Mom, what was your favorite episode?
My favorite episode, I think I did like the Derman case a lot. That one is really, that one was really crazy. It was, a super weird case. I mean, the first episode, the Hess family, and then that one kind of were,
Oh, yes.
a lot alike, but they're both very weird cases just because of who it happened to.
Yeah.
And like how it went down and everything, especially the Derman case. That one's always...
That one lives in my head.
Yeah, that one's always fascinated me a lot ever since, because I remember when it happened. And it's such an odd place for it to happen because that's like,
Yeah, it's in a...
gated
Well, they say that they
so-
think that someone rode on a boat to it.
Yeah, that would make the most sense.
That's... Unless it was someone inside of the neighborhood.
Which is
who lived
crazy
there.
because, I mean, I can't see. It was, more of
Yeah.
like a retirement community type situation. So...
A big theory I have heard about that case that I think about a lot, and I'm not saying it's true, it's just a theory, but that it was a hitman and that someone that possibly lived in the neighborhood, gave them access to it.
Yeah, because I have heard the theory that it was a hitman because it seems...
very professional.
It seems very professional the way it's done. And the fact that it's unsolved is still just crazy. And I can only imagine living in the community because you think you're safe.
Yes.
You know, and that's why you live in a community
and
like that.
And they were I can't remember if they were almost 80 or I think they were almost 90.
Yeah, they were pretty high up there.
And it's like, why would, I can never imagine doing that to someone, who's an elderly person.
Who's like your grandparents.
Yeah, and the Hesses, I will say, the Drumonds seem like a very great family, but the Hesses seem like the grandparents everyone would want.
Everyone would want.
And that one is that one's really, really sad. And the stolen identities after it
has to be related. Somehow there's just too much of a coincidence.
It was 3 days, I think, after that they figured out, and it's I don't know. Both of those cases are the ones that I think about constantly. They are similar in a way, an elderly couple in their own home. They are also very different because one of them has stolen identity, and then another one, the head is like that one is just that's like a horror movie.
Yeah, that is like a horror movie.
And then her
like the
being
whole
in the
head,
lake,
and then her like
and how
and
different.
they never found the head. So
Yes,
it's like
we still don't know where the head is. And
I wonder if it's in the lake.
yeah, and that actually could be. I thought they like cleared out the lake or something after
They probably drug the lake.
But you never know.
But a head's like
but
like a whole
also
body.
like the thing with it being a hitman or something like that is it's heavily talked about because of the head missing, and and like you see in like movies, bring me the head and as proof and stuff like that. But it's like it being on the news would be proof enough. I don't know if that stuff actually still happens or anything like that, but hopefully it wasn't. It will. I mean, it still happened. So who knows? Maybe one day we do have that new evidence that came out last year. I think it was 2025. Yeah, it was 2025. We have that new DNA evidence. I didn't see anything come out about it yet, but hopefully that gives some insight.
Things are always, there's always like cases coming out, like the yogurt shop murders. They just found out who did that like last year, and that happened, in the early 90s.
People online and stuff have been solving a lot of crimes.
So with the amount of resources everyone has nowadays, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
But and then Dorothy, of course, that one was like I remember going to the Ingalls that day that it happened, and that was insane.
Yeah, that one really got to me because I knew her. She was my gym teacher when I went to Auburn, and she was so sweet, but she actually would call me apple bottom jeans because I was a weird kid who only wore my apple bottom jeans, and I refused to change out of them for PE. So she called me apple bottom jeans. I actually have I had a friend who went a year after me, and she called him apple bottom jeans because his last name's Apple, and I think that kind of made me a little bit jealous because I thought I was really
you were special.
But then I remembered I was there before him, so I'm original. She probably was thinking of me.
She probably was. Yeah, she was a really, really sweet lady, and the whole case was just, it was crazy for the small town of Auburn. It really, really was crazy.
That one and Tanya Lynn also was a DV cases, and by the husband.
Yeah,
and both of them were
and both
crazy
of them
for
passed.
Auburn. She literally it was my what was the story? It was my birthday.
It was your birthday, and we were going to Ingalls to pick up something for the party. I don't even remember what it was. And then the GBI and everybody were out there. Right there where they found her body at.
Yeah, at the well.
And at the well.
And they're both so close together too. Because the Ingalls is right there at the end of Etheridge Road, and where they found Tanya's body is right at the end of Etheridge Road. So it was
crazy. I was like, I've seen too many murder spots.
Right there. Right there.
Yeah, right in one little area.
It's just so sad. It's so sad hearing about it being, and I know I've never had to bleep myself more than I had to in the Dorothy Russell case because I went off for a second, which I'm not going to apologize for it. That's what I believe. I don't obviously I do not like people that do that, or men, women that do that to other people. It is the worst. It is terrible. I will say there's might be worse things like that, but I'm so against it, and it's so common, and it's really sad.
Well, it's so sad because a lot of those things, they're preventable if people just look for the signs, or if you offer help, or anything, of that sort. Like, it's super preventable, but it's when you're in that situation and you're being treated like that, you feel like they make you feel like you deserve it.
Yeah.
And also, it's like, it's bigger when you're on the inside, and your mind gets a little bit messy on the inside, so it's harder to get out. So it's just important if you have a friend and you feel like that.
Yes.
A lot of people will be like, worried to ask because they don't want to start something or they don't want to insinuate something.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, well, they were sorry. But, and
Yeah.
when you're in that situation, you actually believe it was your fault because they've manipulated you so much into believing that it's hard to get out. I mean, I've known a few people, that have had relationships like that where it was blatant to everyone else that this person was a piece of shit and that they should not be in this relationship. And you're like, why in the world do you stay? And we constantly ask that question. But when you're in that relationship and you're in that situation, you feel like that's what you deserve, or you feel like you're being crazy for thinking these things.
And I think of it as like, almost how an addiction is.
Yes.
Because, with addicts, they always have to, you can try to get them help, you can try to tell them and all that stuff as much as you want, and it definitely helps, but they're never going to get clean or fix what's going on until they realize it. Yeah. And they are like,
till they
I need to get better.
Yeah.
And the same thing happens with these kinds of relationships.
I think so.
They ignore it's almost like they got blinders on until finally they just one day it clicks and they're just I gotta get out.
And then when you're out of it, you look at it and you're like,
why?
Who the hell was I? Like, what kind of person?
I know so many women.
Was I that have it was going through that? Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I've seen it so many times.
Yeah, and that's why I like to talk about these cases, especially Dorothy Russell, because I knew her, and there isn't much public about the case, so it was really hard to make a episode on it, but it is just so important of a conversation because, like I said in the video, is no matter how small the town is, the town could have a 0 crime rate pretty much. There's still going to be DV cases going on.
Yeah.
And the police might not know about it, but it's still happening.
And oftentimes in the smaller towns, that is the situation because there's a lot more drinking and drugs and stuff like that going on in these smaller towns and whatnot. So that, heightens the risk for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I think people especially in small towns, your neighbors, friends, they kind of just try to mind their own business.
Yes.
Because they care, when you have such a close-knit community around, you care so much about how everyone views you. You don't want, you care about your reputation more.
Because you have to see these people. And, and it's embarrassing for women. And men as well, especially men, if they are in a relationship like that. But it is very embarrassing to admit that you were weak enough, but you're not really. You're not. Weak,
you're very, very strong.
But you feel like you're weak, and it's embarrassing, and it's just like with a mental illness, like it's shunned upon.
Yes, it's society.
It's society. And I think that's a ridiculous thing that we need to get over. Like, you're a victim, that's, it's nothing to be ashamed of.
Yeah, and
you survived it. Yeah.
And
that's extremely good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's extremely,
and even with
proud of that.
Cases, like Tanya Lynn and Dorothy, where sadly they didn't survive it, they still survived for probably a very long time.
Especially Tanya.
And Tanya was really sad because she was actually actively trying to
She was trying to get out of it,
I don't know if Dorothy was. I know Dorothy, I think it was her, but again, it's not public. It could have been a neighbor, but I'm pretty sure it was her. But again, I'm not 100% sure, made a call that night she died.
Yes.
To the police about...
But with her, it's a strange case because you don't hear a lot about him after the whole situation.
Mm-mm.
It's like there's nothing. Yeah. There's nothing about
Well, there's
that.
No pictures of her online either. Yeah, and I think that's so weird because she was literally
strange.
Not even like a yearbook picture. I couldn't find anything because I wanted to put a picture of her in the video, but it's weird. And usually yearbook pictures get posted online, but hers is completely white clean.
It's very strange. And I'm not sure what that was all about.
And I don't know if someone was trying to hide her identity, or anything, because I also did find a few graves because I wanted to put flowers on them. And her grave has a different death date.
Really?
Yes. It has a few days earlier. But I know it's her. But it's a few days earlier. So I don't know I don't know why. I think it's very strange, but...
like I said, we don't know a whole lot about him in general.
No.
I think I've seen pictures of him. I've seen where he went, to court and stuff like that. But that's it. You don't hear a whole lot about him in general. So I thought that was very strange.
Yeah, it is very strange.
Because like Tanya, I remember when it happened, and it was a huge thing. They were, we did a lot of they did a lot of donations to her children and stuff like that. And so you heard a lot about Tanya and her husband, but like not Dorothy.
Yeah,
it was,
it could be someone trying to protect her privacy.
Yeah, it was
which I
such
respect,
a
definitely.
but it was such a strange to me. Like that was a crazy incident just to happen in the Ingalls parking lot.
Yeah,
it was really.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say you expect that kind of stuff near Atlanta. But like there's the murder crower and all this. So like you hear about stuff like that happening in Atlanta. And then there was a couple over there by Gwinnett Place Mall, things like that. But like in small town Auburn,
yeah,
it's just
a big deal.
and it's weird for someone to do that so publicly.
Yeah, and the fact that he was on the run for
I
think 45 minutes, and they announced that someone like that happened in Ingalls, and a lot of people instantly, a lot of people were at the Ingalls because that's the only grocery store in Auburn.
Yeah,
and so it kind of spread like wildfire, and the town was like panicking for like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And then finally, because they didn't know what happened. No one knew what was going on.
No, because when I went, the car was just sitting there, and then they had it taped off, and I really had no idea until I went into the store, and then they kind of, told us about it, but.
Yeah. I don't know. It's so sad because she was a very sweet lady.
Yeah, she was
always...
so, and that's what's strange is like she was always very, very happy, and she was always in a good mood, and
Okay, my phone died, so we are gonna be continuing. So sorry if it kind of jumps a little bit to having a conversation to like completely changing it, but. My phone died, so I had to let it charge for a second. And yes, I film with my phone. Don't judge me. Okay, but we'll talk about our 2 special episodes, which is the WOG episode and the Dixie Mafia episode, which is the final episode. So first, we'll talk about the WOG. How did you feel about that episode?
That was, I've always been fascinated with the WOG ever since, so that's why you're fascinated with the WOG.
Yeah.
Because of my weird Georgia book.
Well, it's so cool
in
that
our backyard.
Yeah, it's so cool.
So.
I literally, not too long ago, I was visiting, or I was bringing a ham to my fiance's mom's place, or his brother's place, but his mom was there. And I drove, he lives, right beside it, basically. And I drove past it, and I was like...
Yeah, because, Melissa's mom's been living there forever.
Yeah, I know. So, we know people that live around there. It's not too far away. And it's weird that there's, that crazy of a history inside of such a small town.
Well, and it's also, it's cool because you hear, I know I've been to, we went to Stone Mountain, and they had used, it was like a ghost tour, and they had used the WOG in the story, because the story, legends, things like that. But it's cool because we actually know where the legend is, and it's right there, and it's a physical place you can go. And,
yeah, it is. And it's even on, literally all of them are in here.
Yeah, they're all in here.
It's literally on a Google Maps. It literally says no to rock.
So that's it's really cool to live, with something that crazy so close.
Yeah, and when I was in 8th grade, I became, I wanted to be a film director, and so I was in film club, and I decided to make a little kind of documentary for social studies class, and I did it on the WOG, and I was obsessed, and it was really fun.
Yeah, Because it's just very fascinating. Even though, even if some of the legends and whatnot aren't true, it's still, it's still a historical place.
Yeah, and people swear.
It was, it was used by Native Americans and whatnot. So it's like, it's just cool.
Yeah,
it's just a cool.
Do you think
cool
that the
thing.
log was real?
I don't know. I mean, I think to discount things like that that's it's not very smart. Like, because there are things we don't know about, and there are legends we don't know about, and stuff like that. So I don't think. I think to discount it would be,
Yeah, I mean,
plus it's just kind of.
Yeah, and it's like realistically, we don't know what's real and what's not. So, I don't know if it is. There has been scientists that have like talked about it, and they're like, well, bullfrogs make this sound that can sound like this, and the blue fog was because of this. And I definitely think that's true, but people swear. Some people like literally swear that they've seen it.
Yeah.
And there was the first written account about it was not even supposed to be public. It was just a letter sent to like a family member, and they were talking about it.
Yeah. So I think you can't you can't really discount anything. There's a lot of things that we have not seen. Especially like the bottom of the ocean stuff. There's tons of stuff living down there that we don't know about.
Okay.
Okay.
Gosh. Okay. Sorry, my phone has been messing up this whole entire time. So I'm sorry for all the jumps that just recently happened. But let's talk about the Dixie Mafia.
Yeah.
That has been my most popular episode so far.
Yeah. Well, within good reason. I mean, it's a fascinating thing.
It is.
To think about, when Billy was doing all that, like to think about the things like that were happening and it was allowed to happen. I mean, the stories are insane because stuff like that just does not happen these days. So it was like the Wild West.
Yeah, I think like speaking on that, I think in my personal opinion, I think it was a terrible thing, but I think it's been dramatized.
Oh,
That's
dramatized.
Traumatized.
Dramatized. It works. It works.
Because first of all, they were not even. And in a second, after we get done talking, I will play a interview that I had with my good friend Jeff, who has a lot of association with the Italian Mafia, and he also actually knew someone that was in the Dixie Mafia. So I'll play that in a second. But first, I think it was just a lot of men doing crime.
Yeah.
And the people that gave it a organization was the cops and the reporters because they wanted to put a name on what was going on. Yeah. And then that name gave these men power, so they kept it. Oh, yeah. Right? But like things like that do happen.
Yeah, it was I mean, I feel like it was just a bunch of thugs and bullies and basically, threatening people and scaring people, and that's why they were allowed to do what they were doing.
And that still happens.
And as you say, the name gave them power, and it made them bigger than what they really were, and they were just thugs, and bullies
and murderers and all kinds of terrible stuff.
I mean, because we've known people that's known people that things have happened to in that situation and stuff like that, and it's been, my parents were around back then, and they remember hearing stories, and everybody heard stories, and then some of the stories were not even true, but they were used, and they incited that fear. So, and everything it got really big and really messy.
Yeah. And I talk about this with Jeff, but I feel like just the mafia term gets thrown around because he was talking about the Dixie Mafia was not organized.
They were not organized
at all.
No, I mean, there was no Al Capone or,
and
anything like that.
The Italian Mafia was literally like very much strictly on loyalty.
Yes.
Because they were all family.
Because most of them were family, yeah.
And this was just, I mean, the Dixie Mafia name, they didn't even come up with it. They were just given it, and they used it to enforce fear, which is what they ran on, because that caused silence, and then they ran on silence. And then it was just a bunch of guys doing terrible stuff and breaking laws, but getting away with it because this name gave them power.
Yeah, exactly.
And the fear gave them power.
Yeah, and it was a sad situation, like, that any part of the town had to endure any of that.
Yes. And it was in so many states and so many counties, and because they literally would go to other places to commit another crime because they knew it'd be harder to track. So they used the other counties and other people, stuff like that, to get away with doing terrible things.
And I think it's just a case where, you get a little bit of power and it goes to your head and you just go crazy with it. Some people just,
and it's because, like, you know, there was a lot of corruption back then, too.
Yes.
And
police,
they
otherwise,
ran towns because people were scared of them.
The good old boy system was enforced strictly back then. So, you know.
Yeah. Okay, I'm with my friend. What's your name?
Jeff.
I know his name, but I'm with my good friend Jeff. We are going to be talking about some of his experiences, maybe with the Dixie Mafia or maybe with other mafias that I know he has experience with. So we'll get started. First, we're going to kind of talk about the Dixie Mafia and maybe your experience with it. First, how old were you and when did you learn about the Dixie Mafia?
I learned about them when I moved to Georgia about 25 years ago. So I kind of heard rumors about it. I mean, I kind of, like, one of my old roommates, she was dating this guy that supposedly was in the Dixie Mafia, and he was, like, connected to the former sheriff of a certain county. But, I mean, it was just all rumors. It wasn't really anything major. But my main experience is with the Italian Mafia, because my great-grandfather was mobbed up with Capone back in the day. They called it the Chicago outfit, actually, incidentally. But another thing about my grandfather is he's actually the head of the Chicago Parks Department at the same time. In fact, he actually had a bridge named after him going over the Chicago River at a certain point. And then there was this book this guy wrote that mentioned my grandfather. And that book was called The Other White People, because back in those days, Italians were not considered white people. So he's mentioned that book. So I was going to read the book because I had it, but I'd lost it. So I needed to go buy it again and learn about some of that stuff. But I kind of knew about it anyway. But, just when growing up in Chicago, on my mom's side, they're all Italian. On my dad's side, it's not. But all my family's from Chicago. Back in the 70s when I was a kid, I remember going to some of these family reunions, and it was just like kind of like just what you would like if you've ever seen the movie Goodfellas or something. In the 70s, they all had this greased back hair and these long lapels and all this stuff. And they were total grease balls, but they were extended family too, so they were like cousins stuff. But I moved out to Chicago after that. And then from Chicago we moved to New York. So I basically first 25% of my life I grew up in Chicago, New York. So and I was around all those people even back in those days. But as far as the Dixie Mafia goes, I mean, at least as far as the Italians were concerned, it was a hierarchical system, especially in Chicago, especially in New York with the five families. But Chicago, not so much. But with the five families, it's really like they say in like The Godfather. They literally have to trace your family back to Sicily, literally. Yeah. That's how they hold you accountable. And you couldn't be like, you couldn't really be like a made guy if you weren't 100% Sicilian.
Mm-hmm.
Chicago was like not really like that because there was no families. I mean, it was Capone, and then by 1931, Capone was completely out of the picture because he was sent to Alcatraz because of tax evasion, so he was completely out of the picture by then. Then he got this guy Frank Nitti, who took over for Capone, and then after him was this guy Tony Accardo. So they probably, I would say that Mafia New York and Chicago started to go downhill, like right around the time Gotti was in New York with the Gambino family and stuff like that. But yeah, so I've been to some of those fronts, in New York and Brooklyn, where these Italian restaurants you go to, and it's all, they're just laundering money through all those businesses, gambling and racketeering and stuff like that, prostitution.
But first, would you say that your family was one of the families in the Italian?
No. We were really, the thing about the Italian mafia is they were basically nationwide, and they were I wouldn't say like Chicago was connected to New York or Chicago to New Orleans where the mob was and all that stuff, but New York handled its own business, Philly handled its own business, Chicago and New Orleans handled their own business, Cleveland, the mob was in Cleveland, they were in a couple, I think in Toronto even, certainly on the West Coast. But the Dixie Mafia was very loosely organized.
Yeah.
There's really no hierarchical structure. They did the same thing. During during Prohibition, they were bootlegging and stuff like that, and obviously gambling and prostitution and rackets, stuff like that. But they weren't even that big as far as I can tell. Even in Georgia, not as much as they were in New Orleans and Biloxi and Phoenix City, Alabama.
Yeah, they were all over the place.
They were in Arkansas, Tennessee.
Yeah, Alabama,
the Dixie Mafia,
Florida even.
We talked about Walking Tall, Buford Pusser, that was definitely the Dixie Mafia in Tennessee.
With you talking about the difference between how they run, what would you say is the best way? Do you think this loosely based system was better, or do you think having the hierarchy, having the people in charge?
I think that the organized system is much better.
Yeah.
But, whatever was happening in New Orleans with the Dixie Mafia, it had nothing to do with Georgia or Tennessee or even Phoenix City, Alabama, for that matter. But they're pretty big in Louisiana as well, in New Orleans especially. In fact, they, I was looking into, when we were talking about this, if there was any kind of overlapping or any kind of relationship between the Dixie Mafia and the Italian Mafia, and there really wasn't necessarily. They would, if they needed some help, it was more of a transactional thing. It had nothing, no real formal relationship agreement, anything, except for New Orleans, because in New Orleans, one of the 5 families from the Genovese family was this guy named, after Lucky Luciano, after he got out of jail, they deported him to Italy, right? So he was gone by 37, so he was totally out of it. But this other guy named Frank Costello took over for him. And it wasn't even called the Genovese family back in those days. But he actually he installed this guy from New York, this guy named Carlos Marcellus. And then if you know anything about Carlos Marcellus, his name comes up quite often in the JFK assassination. Because his brother RFK, that was the first guy he went after. But they didn't go after the guys in Chicago or New York yet. But the thing is about Chicago, the reason I personally believe, one of the reasons why JFK won that election is because this guy Sam Giancana in Chicago fixed the Chicago election for Kennedy, and that's why Kennedy won. So the mob always felt betrayed by Robert Kennedy going after it, But JFK was a great president. However he got in there, it doesn't matter to me. He was a great president.
Yeah.
From just reading everything, I know there was that guy. What's his name? Billy Burt.
Yeah, Billy Burt. Yeah.
That was in Georgia. Yeah. So
he was big, and the Chansey family was also very big.
Chanceys. Okay.
The Chanceys. He killed one of them, or he was tried for killing. Honestly, you never really know. But from the reports, he's the one that organized all the murders for one of the Chansey family.
He actually committed a lot of those murders, actually.
Yeah, he was. He has a big. He definitely has a line of blood behind him. And that's just reports. Some people are like, you never know, but the reports say it.
Yeah, there's one story I've read about him, about that they found that this old couple had come into some $50,000 or something like that. And I don't know if he was personally involved, but he was definitely involved.
Yeah. He claims that I think I know you're talking. He claimed that he had nothing to do with it,
right.
But some people that aren't innocent will say that they're innocent. People that are innocent also say they're innocent. So
right.
You never really know.
You're killing 30 people,
Yeah. Yep.
You got your track record basically, not a good one. But you know, there's one funny story about him that I heard about was, so his family grew up in Barrow County, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah.
So, but they were sharecroppers. His mom and dad were sharecroppers, so they grew up very poor. And at one point, one of the people they were working for evicted them from the property, and I think years later, he wanted to get revenge and kill that guy that evicted his parents, but he was too late because that dude already had died like several years ago.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I feel like when I think that does definitely make sense, because when you have already a river of blood behind you, might as well get revenge,
Right.
Definitely seems, I wouldn't be surprised.
Right. But as far as the Dixie Mafia is concerned, it really kind of started in Biloxi, Mississippi. So they had gambling down there and all that stuff, and they were pretty huge. I mean, everybody was in it. Politicians were on them, law enforcement, judges, just like in Chicago. Same thing. It's all the same thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of all I know, kind of about Biloxi. Phoenix City, Alabama. That one is kind of interesting.
It was very interesting in Alabama.
So one funny thing about Phoenix City is back during World War II, General Patton was the commander at Fort Bragg, or not Fort Bragg. What's that one that's in Columbus, Georgia?
I can't remember. I know I visited
Benning, Fort Bragg.
Yeah. I know I visited the little place.
Is that Fort Benning? That's not Fort.
I don't know.
They renamed it, but they named it back.
We ended up there, and it was awkward.
So he was like the commanding officer at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and it was so corrupt in Phoenix City because they were messing with his soldiers because they're going over to Phoenix City, Alabama, with the prostitution and gambling and all this other stuff, and it was just wrecking them, So his troops, so he literally threatened to send an entire tank division over the bridge to flatten Phoenix City, Alabama. Patton himself.
Gosh.
And which I thought was a great story. I love Patton. He's one of
That
my
is
favorite
something.
generals. But,
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but ultimately though they sent the National Guard in there to take control of that city.
Yeah.
I can't remember the year, but I didn't know it was that corrupt because I used to go down to Columbus, Georgia all the time.
Oh, everything was so corrupt back then, because we didn't. I felt like, personally, why the Dixie Mafia ran so high, and ran in general, is because relationships were more meaningful in a way, because you couldn't just text someone, you couldn't just do all that. Like you
Sometimes
had
too personal.
Yeah, you had so many more personal relationships. People obviously have personal relationships now, but I feel like your reputation and your community meant so much more to you, because that was more of your life, and that's
especially
why.
among the Italians, because there was a lot of loyalty there.
Yes.
And with the Dixie Mafia, there was, from what I can tell, zero.
There was I wouldn't say that there was loyalty. I would say that it literally just ran on fear, because with it being so community heavy and swapping favors and threats, it was just fear. It wasn't ran with loyalty at all.
A lot of it's based on fear.
Yes, it is. And some people would even kill their own family members.
If you're stupid enough to get a loan from a guy that's hooked up with the mob, then you deserve to get your ass beat, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Speaking of growing up with the Italian mob around you, when did you first, how old were you, or what's your earliest memory of being whoa, what's going on, what's going on?
I really never was that close to it. But I didn't even find out that my great-grandfather was mobbed up until I was probably in high school, actually.
Yeah.
So, but see, the thing is that something like that, nobody wants to talk about that.
Yes, yeah.
In fact, my grandmother never saw The Godfather, and she wouldn't watch it because it reminded her too much of how she grew up, So
yeah.
She literally never watched that movie at all. So.
And speaking of The Godfather, another question I have is, do you think that media now, or even stuff like a podcast, do you think that media misrepresents what the actual mafia lifestyle was? Not even the Dixie Mafia lifestyle, but the Italian lifestyle,
I really don't think so. I mean, I don't know. some people said it glorified the mafia
Yeah.
in a lot of ways, but
Yeah.
I just was thinking about this the other day. But so one of my fraternity brothers was the grand nephew of Bugsy Siegel. His dad's was brothers with was the brother of Bugsy Siegel actually. He was the guy that basically literally created Vegas.
Yeah. Wow.
So yeah,
That is
I
crazy.
thought that was kind of interesting too. But yeah, the only real link between the Italian mafia and the Dixie mafia, I was starting to go into this and I got sidetracked. But,
That happens.
so the Carlos Marcello's thing, whatever, I got sidetracked on that issue. But because both obviously they're doing the same thing in New Orleans, right, like that. So, but they weren't getting in each other's business necessarily. They wasn't like they're going to war with each other or anything like that. But the transactional relationship there was Marcello's and his group actually hired some of the Dixie Mafia to take out other people. That they basically they used them as hit.
Him. Wow.
Yeah, they didn't use their own guys. They basically paid him to hit other people. I don't know who or when, but I thought that was part of the relationship. So I thought that was interesting.
That is interesting. Do you still think that the Dixie Mafia is out there? Because some people, I don't know, but people believe that they died out, in the 90s, early 2000s. But then some people swear that, they're still out there. There's
For sure the Italians are still out there. They just got caught fixing games for the NBA. These are the New York families that got caught up in that.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of players that's going to really mess up the NBA. I think it's eventually going to go into the NFL and even college because they're fixing a lot of games, in my personal opinion. But they have no power like they did back in those days. Even the Dixie Mafia.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard rumors about it, but if they are, they're not very effective because we don't hear about them. And I don't think they're that smart, a lot of those guys. At least the Dixie Mafia. I mean, the FBI went hard after all that organized crime. They basically wanted to be the only criminals, basically, from my perspective. But I think that's why they got rid of the Italians, because the Italians were actually very organized and had a lot of influence. So.
Yeah, and they also did have a lot of loyalty, because working almost directly, pretty much
in the
directly
beginning
with family.
they did, at the end they did not. Like Sammy the
yeah.
Bull Gravano, like he ratted out John Gotti and everything. It was just like Goodfellas. I mean, just that whole movie is pretty accurate with what happened at the that was going on in the late 80s, maybe mid 80s, whatever. So
yeah, that's the biggest thing with any kind of, I guess, organized crime like this is, the Dixie Mafia ran on fear, and when the FBI kind of took away some of that fear, and they also ran on silence, but when they took away some of that fear because they were heading into it and people were actually starting to go to prison and jail and stuff, people weren't scared to be quiet anymore. So that fear kind of went away, and that's what destroyed the Dixie Mafia. They didn't have it. And same with the Italian Mafia. They lost this loyalty that they ran on, and so that kind of, made them go out. And I think the world is ran with so much greed again, and power is so valuable to people now. I think, I wouldn't be surprised if the Dixie Mafia or any mafias were still going around. I mean, there's even scarier things now with more power and more money than even they had back then.
There's some evil things too.
There is evil,
because you're really talking about like the Epstein stuff and the P. Diddy stuff.
Yeah, or
That
even
was all-
even the big pharma in general, like
Of
people
course.
that are giving
big pharma. I mean, every
that's-
commercial you see on TV is about big pharma. That's really interesting. But yeah, do they exist today? I don't know.
Yeah.
If it did, I might be a member.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
But the thing I really think, before we stop, but the thing I really think is, really, was the Dixie Mafia ever an actual mafia? Because what I personally think is it probably does still exist today because people are still breaking the law. And this was just a group of men who knew each other that just broke the law. Yeah. Did they really have any power? No, they had the same amount of power as anyone that would break the law.
I mean, most of the Italians had the most influence in New Orleans because they always.
Yeah.
Well, Frank Costello was called what was he called? The Prime Minister is what he was called.
Yeah.
Because he was the guy that was friends with all the politicians, paying them off. That's how they got away with all their stuff and cops and stuff like that.
I really think it's the police and the news reporters gave them that name because they were like, okay, these people know
Right.
each other, these people are
Right.
going to other counties, and they're doing these crimes. I think it was just, it's always just been people that know each other who know how to do crime in an effective way.
Locally.
Yeah, but they also went to other states. Like, the same people would go to other states, do the same thing, come back, because they knew it was hard to catch that. Because it
Yeah.
is. It's just a bunch of guys who know how to do crime an effective way, and then the cops and the news reports give them this name, which gives them even more power and fear.
Right.
And so they can say, I'm part of the Dixie Mafia, when really, were you ever even a Dixie Mafia to begin with?
I mean, it's not even anything like the Italian Mafia.
It's not.
Even
It's
close.
not.
Not even close. So, any group that they say is a mafia, that the only Italians can be a mafia because that's Italian, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just a loose term used, which I've used it myself.
Yeah.
To any organized criminals. So you can call the FBI basically the FBI mafia or the CIA mafia. 'Cause
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's just, and so yeah, probably still alive. I know there's bloodlines still alive. Hell, I mean, even Bert's wife is still alive.
Yeah. The Italian guys are still alive. These guys are all public guys now. I mean, they're like literally a lot of these guys have YouTube channels. Literally.
Yep.
I mean, they did their time. I mean, if you do your time, then it's, you should be.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. But anyway, we got to stop now. So we'll go back to the episode. Bye. I don't know. I am very proud of that episode, though.
That was a very good episode.
I
was
tried
very
something
impressed.
different, and I put a little bit more editing into it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how I feel about it, but a lot of people
I
like
liked it. I did. I liked it.
I think it was a little bit extra, but a lot of people liked it, and it kind of gave me the confidence to a little bit more with my episodes, because I do film, edit, write the scripts, and do everything by myself. So it kind of it gave me a little bit more. I also for the Dorothy Russell case, that episode, I figured out how to properly use photos online. It was very easy. All you gotta do is put the picture credits.
Yeah.
Because I was scared to do it because I didn't want to get in trouble or anything.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to offend anyone. But I figured out how to do that. So there will be more pictures coming up. Yeah. So I'll be doing more of that. I'm excited. Which, going on to that, we can talk about what it was like making a podcast in the beginning, or in all of it. It was fun. I will say it's very hard doing all that when the holidays are coming up, especially because it's hard to have time to film and edit. It takes a lot longer to edit videos than you think it would. But it's been really fun. I've learned a lot myself, and I've also realized that the world is very scary. And I also learned something about myself. When I listen to true crime, sometimes it's easy to make it like a story almost that you're just listening to. You don't have any. You don't feel it as personal. Some of them do, and some of them it's just listening to it, and you can kind of turn it into almost like listening to a book in a way. But when you're making it and you're learning about these cases, I've learned that I am very protective of all of the victims, and I'm very I feel so much for them.
Yeah.
And that's why I wanted to put flowers on all the graves that I could find. I only was able to actually find 2.
Well, also I
Or go
feel
to 2.
like as in this season, it may not be as much in the other seasons, but in this season, you did it in your hometown, so
Yes.
that makes it a lot more closer. It's closer to home, and therefore, these people,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
it makes it.
it definitely hit home.
Yeah,
And I will say I am so happy to be out of Winder now, and to be out of being so close.
I will say, I was alive for a good bit of these cases. I do remember, when they came around and stuff like that. But when you put it all together, you're like, what the fuck?
Yes,
You're like,
that's why.
What is happening in
That's
this
why.
town?
Yes,
It's
that's
so
why I
like-
wanted to do this
It
concept.
puts it into perspective.
Because I want people to wake up and realize that even though you live in a small town, a small safe town, my whole entire life I grew up thinking that Auburn was safe.
Yeah.
Nothing really happens there. Things
It's
happen everywhere.
Everywhere.
No one is
Everywhere.
ever truly safe. Just be
No.
careful. I'm not saying don't trust anyone.
No.
Obviously, trust and
Especially
love.
if you're going through small towns you don't really know.
Yes. But I mean, like things. I mean, I had
And there's
8
more
episodes.
you didn't
Yes.
even cover.
There's a lot of cases I did not cover.
Because you think,
Things happen.
You grow
Dude,
up
no matter
and
how small it
nothing-
is. I mean,
No.
Auburn and Winder have like Auburn had 2 cases in here, and there's one grocery store, and it takes like maybe 5 minutes to go through the whole entire town.
Yes.
Barrow County, it takes like maybe 20 minutes to go through the whole entire town, or the whole entire county, and that's 4 towns in Barrow County. Well, a little bit of Tequila, but
Yeah.
like and it takes like 20 minutes max to
It's
go
not
through.
very big at all.
And it's just there's a road that goes straight through
Yeah.
everything too.
So,
And there's so many cases I did not cover. Like there is some that I don't even still know about,
mhm.
even after doing all this research.
Yeah.
And just be safe. You might live in a nice small town, but there's people around that do bad things.
There are.
It's a scary world out there, and we're just living it. You gotta hope for the best.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what age you are, you're never safe.
Nope.
You never are. So you just gotta watch out. I will say though, like being in a small town with that cool of a legend was very awesome.
Yes,
and I
that's
don't
very
think
cool.
I'm gonna I'm gonna actually be switching it a little bit with my next seasons. Since I am not close to home, I guess with it, it's harder for me to find, because mom definitely helped me. She's like, you need to check out this case. You need to do this. I don't have that for these other cases or these other states and towns. So I'm going to be kind of doing it as a broad state. I'm going to be changing states every single time. So that's what I'm going to be kind of doing. So it's not going to be necessarily a small town. All of them are going to be taken in place in small towns.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be doing any big city cases or anything like that. So they're still going to be in small towns, but it's not going to be one singular town. It's going to be a state. Winder was just easy because I had someone who knows a lot what's going on to help me out.
Yeah.
Also, Barrow County is crazier than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, it definitely puts it in perspective. And you don't really think about it when these things are going on. I was, alive during all of the cases, and I legitimately ran upon 2 of them,
Yeah.
So it's, or when, the crime scene when it was happening, but the others, you don't really, because they happen and then everybody forgets, or, and it just is, and then another one happens, and that overshadows the last one, but then when you start putting them together, it's like...
And I'll say, a really cool thing that happened with the Dixie Mafia, and this really goes to show, how families stay within small towns. And it's easy to get stuck in a small town. Very easy. You get comfortable.
Yeah. No one wants to get out of their comfort zone.
In the Dixie Mafia case, I had people commenting on my TikTok, and I think on my YouTube. I don't know, but a lot of people were commenting on my TikTok. People that were part of the Chanceys and people that knew them.
They're still around.
Yeah, they're still going strong.
I mean, Billy's family still.
I mean, the son, I think he owns brewery or something.
No, he used to own the distillery.
That's what it is, yeah.
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 And
we
so
know, we know
people that know
Ruby.
him, and then, of course, we know Ruby. She's, a beautiful, wonderful lady.
Wonderful.
Who
That's
by
Billy Burt's wife, ex-wife.
Yeah. Yeah.
ex-wife, by the way. She don't want nothing to do with him anymore.
No, she was just one of his another victim in
was,
his
yes.
whole situation.
Mm-hmm.
And his
Yeah.
son, his is a preacher now, and he's a great guy. He
Yeah.
helped solve one of the murders in North Carolina.
Yes.
So
Yeah, and I was.
it's a big his. I think that's one because like everybody obviously knows all the other victims and whatnot, but his was like it was such a widespread.
Mm-hmm.
And it had lasted for so long.
Yes.
And so many people were touched by it. So that's why it's such a big deal. And it's, it's a legend now. And it's grown over the years, obviously.
Yeah. And yeah, he's definitely, like, I know he is one of the Dixie Mafia guys, but I know there's so many of them, because again, they were all over the place. So many states, so many counties had but he was in Winder. He was born and raised there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to, or I did almost interview Ruby, but I know, I think she said that she was done with the story, which I completely respect.
Yeah, it was
and I completely understand
part of her life, and she's had to grow from that.
Mm-hmm.
And she had a lot of guilt, everything.
Mm-hmm.
But once she wrote her book.
Yes, which go read her book, by the way. It has a lot of information. It is very, very good.
It's very good. But once she wrote her book, that was kind of like her closing that chapter.
Yes.
Because it was such a huge part of her life. And she came through it. And, she just... and she's,
she's an amazing
she's just
woman.
an amazing woman. She's a very strong woman.
She's in her 80s now.
Yeah, and she's very strong in her faith and everything.
Yeah,
and,
she's a really good woman, and I am grateful that she can just let it go and live in peace, because she deserves it. She really does.
She does deserve it.
She's another victim, and
she is.
It's
she was a young girl when he took her from her family.
Yes, and it's just another like so many of the cases we've talked about. It's just men that have power and get this ego
just
boost,
tyrants,
and they're just scary. They're scary.
They're scary, yeah.
And
especially because he was a huge man.
He was huge, and he literally murdered people.
Yeah, so
it's
not a great combination.
Yeah, he murdered people. He did a lot of other crimes. He was a scary man. I mean, who knows, what would have happened, to her. Yeah. Being that in that situation.
Yeah.
It's scary.
I mean, because, he threatened her many times. So
but hey, she's still alive, and she's still thriving.
Yeah.
So.
And she's a beautiful, sweet woman.
She's a beautiful, amazing woman, and she deserves peace, and she deserves to live the rest of her life beautifully.
Yeah, she really, really does.
But yeah, it was, it's been tiresome, working in Winder. I think because, a lot of the people, I'm always a little bit anxious posting stories so close to home, because, I always post the video as soon as I post it on my Facebook, and I have a lot of most people live in Winder in that area. And I'm always scared that I might... offend or maybe bring back a little bit of trauma to someone.
That is true.
I'm always scared, and I don't want to do that. That's why I always try to carry out them with respect, and I try to stick to court records and real records.
Yeah,
not gossip. Not gossip, because that's why even the Dixie Mafia, I could have said, the video could have actually been an hour long.
Yeah.
But I stuck to court records because, I offended someone who only watched 5 seconds of it on TikTok.
Yeah.
I don't even know who that person is, and he's just, I don't know. But I stuck to court records.
Yeah. It's easier when you're not, when you haven't came in contact with the people in the stories and whatnot. It's a lot easier to tell the stories because you can compartmentalize it
Yes.
and take it away. But when you know the places and you know where these things have happened, you've seen these things, it hits closer to home, so it's a little harder to tell that story. It's a little more taxing. Because you can't disassociate yourself from it as much as you can when it's
and like
when it's another place.
I have people that I haven't even talked to for like, I don't even know. Some of them I have never actually talked to. I'm just Facebook friends with them or Instagram friends from like a long time ago. I don't even really know who they are.
What the?
Oliver!
What the hell are you doing? Hello, Oliver.
Okay. Okay, so that is going to be the end of our debrief. We've been doing this for a very long time, and it's very late now. So yeah. But anything you want to say, Mom, before we head out?
I think you did a wonderful job this season, and I think as you've gotten more and more into the episodes, you've gotten more and more comfortable, and you can tell.
Yeah.
So.
I definitely think I have. Speaking in front of the camera has gotten a lot easier for me. Still not fully prepared for it yet, but the more I do, the better I'll get.
Yep.
But I really appreciate everyone that watches, and I love replying to comments and seeing comments. So definitely like and subscribe and comment any questions that you might have. I'll always reply. And I really appreciate everyone that's watched my podcast so far. I've worked really hard on it, and I will continue working hard on it. Sorry for the multiple weeks in between. It's been hard, trying to maintain. I'm in school and I work, so it's been hard to maintain. Like all that and life. But just I'll make up like a better schedule for me so I can post every week. But yeah, bye.